Let's do that. How about? Okay. That's what we'll shoot for today. All right. Let's get rid of this. Let's go to. So last class we got through problem 2. Now, going into problem 3 and here on out, we have a little bit of a problem, and that is this. Oops. What happens if the cost changes, which commonly does? So when the costs change, how do you account for that? And we have a few methods that we use. Actually, there's dozens of methods, but there's some common ones that are used that we'll go over. But this is a problem of in the inventory itself. The inventory of the units will be indistinguishable. Usually, there's a little 12-pound dog barking, trying to scare off people. But the so you won't know. For instance, it might be that these are in bins or something that you don't know which unit you bought at which time or anything like that, and you might have hundreds, if not thousands, of different items that it's impossible to go through and to know which ones were sold, which ones cost 22 and which ones cost 25 and whatever. So there's a few methods that we use. Now, jump in here first a little bit, and inventory. Oops, hey, I got capital. Inventory costing, it's an allocation. I think we talked about this before. And it's just like depreciation, that you're really trying to allocate the cost over the goods. You're not trying to find the exact value of them. You're not trying to find the market value of them or anything like that. You're trying to allocate the cost. And so the real two methods or the real two criteria are that it must be systematic and rational. So when it comes to inventory costing, these are really the only two criteria that we have. And that is that it's an allocation, it must be systematic, that it's a system, that it makes sense, or excuse me, system that it's repeatable. Let me write that in there. Since I'm not speaking well, maybe they can type it better. So repeatable. Repeatable, the same result. So whatever method we use, I can use it, you can use it, anyone else can use it, and it'll be the same. And rational is that it makes sense. So again, inventory costing, this is an allocation, depreciation is an allocation. There's other things too that are allocations. So we're really not trying to find what the true cost is, because that's a lot of times not attainable. What we're really trying to do is say, okay, we have these costs, and how do we allocate those? And for inventory, as well as other things, but it could make a difference, because you'll notice that the cost will go into the cost of goods sold, and that will go into the gross profit, which goes into the income. So how you do it can change your income, right? And we'll see that as we go through here. So these are really the two criteria for any inventories that it's an allocation. And allocations are simply taking the money, taking it and spreading it out over. It could be time, it could be units, whatever it is. We're trying to allocate that. Okay. No, I think I might get rid of these just so we stay on the same page. Okay. So one of the first methods that we use is called FIFO, first in, first out. If you're into computers, you are probably familiar with this. Oops. Now it says first in, first out. It really should say first in, first sold. Because that's what they're talking about for the out. So first in, first sold. So this out is really sold. So the first one's in where the first one's sold. And this is probably the way that most inventory actually does leave the place. The first ones you buy in, the first one's sold. The first one's in where the first one's on the shelf. When those are sold, then you put some more on the shelf that were bought later, and so on and so forth. So first in, first out is probably the more accurate of how the actual inventory is. The physical aspects of the inventory, of the logistics of it coming in and going out, is probably the most accurate as far as what actually happens. So the first in, first out really means first in, first sold. Okay. And you'll comment here, just called FIFO. FIFO all the time. Okay. All right. So sales are always fairly easy because whatever they came in, they bought the items, whatever they left with, that's the sales. Take this off. Okay. So sales are fairly easy. So when we calculate the sales, there's no difference in this one. And let's just say here, sales. Oops. Sales over revenue, same thing. And we have units sold. Okay, so we have units. 45. And so this will equal our sales. Calculator cam. Calculator cam. Let's try this again. Okay. It's dark in here. Oh, it is dark in here. Turn the light out. Sorry. All right. So we have 45 times 40, 1,800. So this is going to be our sales. And again, sales are easy. Whatever they handed you back when they took the items. Okay. Now, when it comes to cost of goods sold for January, the cost of goods sold is going to be okay, we need to find the cost for these units, right? So we have units that we need to find the cost for. Okay, so just like up here, we have the 45 units, the same thing. Okay. So we're going to go to the first ones in. So the first ones in are going to be right here. Now, here's the thing. We only sold 45. We didn't sell 80. So we're going to find the cost for 45 of them. Let me do this a little differently. Okay, so the first place we're going to go is the beginning inventory. And we can actually get all 45 units from there. And then we need the cost for 0. And so the beginning inventory, the 1-1, we can actually get all of the units. And that space this very well. There we go. So coming down here, our units will be 45 times the cost, which is 22. That will equal some number, 45, 90. Okay, so this is our cost of goods sold. Okay, so kind of gross profit, we have sales revenue is 1,800. Cost of goods sold. Sometimes you'll see this just say it is COGS. And this will give us our gross profit. It's called gross margin. What is that? 810? Oops, 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 oops. Okay. So this is our gross profit. Okay. Ending inventory is a little bit tricky. I am going to bring it down. And here's why it's tricky, because we sold some of these. So, oops, what am I doing? We sold 45 of these, and they're sold, they're never coming back. They say gone forever. So you say, okay, well, what is left from the beginning inventory? Well, what's left is 80 minus 45, which is what, 35? So this is the inventory that's left. So we still have 35 at 22, and we also have this purchase of inventory. And we didn't sell any of that. So the 50 times 25 equals some number. $1,250. Better use the calculator. So $2,020 is the and then the next, going into the next period, this will be the beginning inventory. This will be the second inventory, and then whatever comes after that will be, later layers of inventory. All right, any question on this thing? Okay, I mean, it's not too hard, and part of the reason for doing it this way is back in the day they didn't even have calculators, much less computers or anything else. So it was very much a labor-intensive, paper-intensive thing of doing inventory. So this was the easiest one, and this is probably the one that makes the most sense to most people. Okay. Number 4, same thing. Again, sales are pretty easy. Whatever you sold them for. I can probably. $2,800. Again, so sales, not too difficult to all right, cost of goods sold. Let me do something here. All right. Try to keep this consistent. Okay, we sold 80 units. And we need to find the cost for 80 units. So the first place we go is the beginning inventory. Now the beginning inventory only has 30. So we still need more units. So we need the cost for 50 more units, right? So we had 80, we found the cost for 30 of them. I'll multiply those out later. But we still need the cost for 50 more. And so, okay, so this layer is gone. It's gone, it's never coming back. I shouldn't cross out gone forever. So let me go to the next layer. Now there's 60 in here. We don't need 60 though. We only need 50 of those. So we're going to leave 10 of them. So this will be something here. So at this point, we have all the units we need. Oops. And you'll notice that all of these add up to this. You know, that if you were to add a better, that's crazy. You know, whatever units you sold, you know, this is what they all have to add up to. So let's see. 15 times 30 is 450. $50 times 20 what, 1,000? Yep. And so the total of those would be the those are dollars, by the way. I should put those in as dollars. So our cost of goods sold is the 1450. I mean, this might look confusing. These units have to equal those units. You know, if you sold 80 units, you have the cost of 80 units, basically. Okay. So, $2,800 was the sales. $1,450 was the cost of goods sold. Yeah, whatever's left over. $1,350. So 2,800. Yeah. Okay, so this is all right, and I'm going to copy all of this down. Okay, so let's see here. So we sold 30, those are gone. Out of this layer, oops. So the sold units up, what did I do there? That's kind of wacky. All right, we sold what, 50? So what's left over will be 10. Yeah. Okay, so we have units. We have cost. Times unit. Okay, we had 70 times 25. That's 1750. I better multiply that. Okay, so 70 times 25. 1750. So these are not sold. And so that would be 1950. Okay. Let's closer together. Oops. As with ending inventory, this is stuff that was not sold. If it was sold, it wouldn't be there. Okay, Nick, you're probably okay with this, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, now let's jump to LIFO. Let's go to page number 6. Well, we'll probably end up doing those next class. We'll see though. But LIFO is an odd one. Yeah. I'll tell you why it's odd. LIFO is last in personal. And if you think about it, in reality, a lot of times that it's an impossible method to actually happen in real life. You can't sell a gallon of milk on January 1st that you bought on January 28th, right? I mean, you know, you must have sold an earlier purchase, right? So LIFO does not usually follow the way inventory usually works. Because of this, international standards don't allow for it. You cannot use the LIFO method under international standards. Now, the LIFO method, the reason that it exists is that the last price paid is probably the most realistic as far as what the item is worth. It's the nearest to the market value. And because it's nearest to the market value, it also is the best number for calculating your income. So the LIFO method is a theoretical, it's an economic idea that the more recent inventory values are the more accurate as far as what the actual income is. So while it is not usually the way inventory works, the flow, the logistics of inventory, it's actually a theoretical one about giving the more accurate income number. And again, you can't use this method anywhere in the world except for the United States. We have it in the United States and say, well, okay, well, does anyone use it? Yeah, tons of companies use it in the United States. Many companies use it for their taxes too. So it's one of those weird things that is not going away. It almost couldn't because of how many years of it we've had. But the LIFO method is a theoretical one, and it's there because the last numbers of the inventory, the last ones in, are probably the more accurate as far as what the actual value of the inventory is. So because it's a theoretical one, not an actual, logistical flow of inventory, no one else in the planet uses it. But the United States does. We use it a lot, and it's used by people for taxes a lot of times, and a lot of companies use it because of the United States. We're very focused on what is the actual income. We really beat up the income as far as the accuracy of that. So, well, the LIFO method, it seems crazy. It actually is because it's theoretical. It's not the actual flow of goods. It is a theoretical one for getting the best inventory. Okay. So in other words, what we're saying here is that this $25 per unit is probably a more realistic number than the 22. What's this inventory worth that we sold? Well, 25 is the more accurate number. So that's why we use it. And again, just like, I'm sorry. So the last in, first out is really the last in, first sold. So we always talk about the sold. Even though we say last in, first out, it really means last one's for out, the first one's sold. So these are the ones that are sold, and we're saying, okay, these last ones in were the ones sold. Okay, so everything else is the same, except that instead of starting at the first in, you're going to start here with the last in. So everything else is actually the same. Oops. All right. So units sold were 45. This is the same as problem number 3.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah, so everything's the same. The only thing that's gonna be different is the last one. So the inventory will be different. I mean, the cost of sold will be different, and the inventory will be different. Okay, so cost of goods sold. Let me see how did I say it here? Okay, so this will be, this is all wrong. Probably should just type it out. We need the cost for 45 units. We're gonna take it from the purchase on 110. We can get all 45 of them out of there, so we'll just take 45. Oh, I didn't label these. That's my cursor. Okay, so units. So 1,125. So this is our cost of goods sold. Okay. So coming down here. Sales revenue, cost of goods sold. Okay, so we had 1,800. All right, so that first. So that's our gross profit. And so you'll notice, and this is probably obvious, but if you go back to number 3, the gross profit was 810. Now notice everything, the inventory is the same, the sales are the same, everything's the same, but the profit was 810 on in problem number 3 using FIFO. And down here for LIFO is 675. And you'll notice that that's true whenever you do the last in method, if prices are increasing, and usually they are. Usually because of inflation, prices go up. So a lot of times with LIFO, you'll have a lower income. You'll also have a lower ending inventory because the cheaper ones that were first in there aren't sold. They're still sticking around inventory. Another thing people don't like about the LIFO method is that you can actually have inventory sitting in there for 100 years. If you never sell out all of your inventory, you can have inventory sitting there forever, you know, or near forever. Okay, oops. So I'm going to move this down. Okay. So we have purchase inventory on that. We have by the way, if you're wondering why I always put in gone forever, it's because one of the common things that I see is that inventory comes back sometimes. So I like to really tell, as soon as they look, this is gone, it's not coming back. So what there's 5. Okay, so this is from this layer, we're only going to have that. And again, these are no longer there. So from this layer, we have 5, and from this layer, we still have the 8822. And again, using the LIFO method, this 8822, that could stick around for 100 years, which is, I think, one of the reasons why international standards, they don't like it. Is that it makes a more accurate income statement, but it kind of messes up your balance sheet, because the balance sheet has got it can have 100-year-old numbers on it. How much did a ton of steel cost in 1922? $50 or something. So, yeah. So we still have our beginning inventory. And we still have 5 left here. Okay. Five times 25 is 125. Okay, yeah, so that's the ending inventory. 1885, and you'll notice that that is less than, no, the inventory was higher here in with FIFO, because these expensive ones that were last, that were the end of it, you know, they're still in the inventory. Whereas down here, the expensive ones, or at least most of them, were sold. So you saw the cheaper ones. Okay. We'll do this one, then we'll call it a day. All right. Let's see here. So it's basically the same, except that, you know, down here, these are the last in. Everything else is the same. So we'll get 70 units from 21st. We still need 10. And so our per, oops. All right, so we got 70 from here, 10 from here, and again, this is, you know, these have to be the same. 50, you know, get up to 80 in total. Okay, so these are at 25. These are at 20. So this is gone. This one. Gone forever and never coming back. All right. Why does that look familiar? I know what it is. It's because the total units are 160. That's funny. The cost of goods sold and the I thought I had fixed these. I redid them this time around because I didn't like the way they came out. And just stupidly they came out. There's another weird thing. The ending inventory is going to be the same. This will be the cost of goods sold will be the ending inventory from the FIFO. I'm looking at these numbers thinking, yeah, wait, I already saw these before. There were some numbers that came out to be the same, and so I don't like that, and so I altered them. But apparently, I didn't realize that they would come out to be exactly the same as the ending inventory for the other one because the total here. So I'll have to change this to something. Change that to 80, the middle one to 80 maybe. No, I can't do that because it's hard. It's hard to make these so they don't come out confusing. I don't know. They'll make it like 65 or something. Okay. Oops. Okay, so our gross profit would be $850 on this one. Again, that should be less than it was for number 6. Okay, I'm going to copy all this. Okay, so let's see what is left. Okay, so from this layer, we sold 50 of those. All right, so we didn't sell any of these. So 50 of those, so there's this left for those. And those are gone forever. So that's all that's left. Why does that look wrong? I know why it looks wrong, because they did it wrong. This should be 10, and this should be 50. Sorry about that. That was the evil Mr. Taylor showing you how to do it wrong. All right, so there should be So there's 50 left. So our ending inventory you still have the first ones. Okay, so this would be our ending inventory. And you know, you actually, I mean, I didn't mean it to come out like that, but you know, if you look at these, just kind of switch places because there's 160 in the inventory. You sold the first ones or you sold the last ones. So this was you're selling the first ones. Your income was 1350 and 1950. Down here, they should both be lower. Wrong one. Down here, they should both be lower. They are. So 950 of 850, and this is 1450. So that is LIFO and FIFO. And again, LIFO is the kind of normal one. That's one that would happen the way it probably occurs in real life for virtually everything. Whereas LIFO is a theoretic one. It says, okay, these last ones in, you know, these ones at 25, these are the best price. That's the most recent price. That's the most accurate price. And so it'll give you the more accurate income. So this is probably a more accurate income. Now, because if the ones sold were the more accurate income, that means the stuff that's left is probably the less accurate. You know, you have these ones in here for 15 compared to they're going for $25. You know, I made these kind of exaggerated, but the idea is the same though, is that you can have those ones, the beginning ones that just sit around forever and be a real, you know, to some extent, they could be just a ridiculous number, you know, ridiculously small. So, okay, yeah, we'll leave this one. We don't need to say it's the same idea. Okay, well, I think we'll call it a night with that. So we'll finish this up next class, and then I'll send out the test next class tomorrow, and that'll be the last test for the class. Any questions, Nick?
Oh, all good.
Okay, I suspected they would be. You know. All right, well, I will talk to you tomorrow and finish this up.
Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.